Hi there, Felipe here, your favorite creative alchemist from Germany. Today it's going to be a short one. I just wanted to showcase a simple scroll interaction on Webflow. It's very straightforward, but who has never dealt with it might be a little challenging at first, but then you get used to it and then you can master it pretty easily. I'm just going to show you how it's done, and then you can try to replicate it in your projects or in your client projects. That's up to you. But yeah, so I would say let's look into them. I prepared some content already based on a very cool pet project for a client. So I'm going to open the website here first of all, and then I'll show you what to do. Okay, all right. So we got the site. I'm going to scroll down to the relevant section. This is a relevant section. Okay, so let me show you the interaction. First of all, how it works. Right, so okay, so we come from here. There you go, and then we scroll down. This is a sticky banner, right? So okay, let me scroll like this. That's better. Okay, there you go. And once we get here, you can see it's gonna start to separate. And in the background, you can see the paintings move and the text move in from the right. So we got a couple of things going here. So we have, first of all, the image breaking apart like a continental drift line. That's number one. There you go. And then we have the paintings, and then we have the text. So let's take a look at the setup, and then let's take a look at how this was done. All right, so first step is to create the corresponding section with the necessary function, with the necessary basis. And that's also not too complicated. So I call this the Renaissance section. Okay, then we have a Renaissance container, which was, that's the background. And then we have the Renaissance back wrapper, which is the image. Should be the other way around in terms of naming, but that's all right. So Renaissance container contains the text, and then we have the background on top. So should I call it foreground? Let me hide it for now. Okay, so we get here, and we can see there's a sticky somewhere, right? If I scroll, nothing happens. Okay, so we need the section. You should make it as tall as you actually need it, right? Because a sticky position, it moves down a certain section. So if I made this section only 20 SVH high, the sticky wouldn't work, because what we see, first of all, is 100 SVH. That's the viewport, right? So we have 1, 2, 3 viewports in terms of vertical height, vertical spacing. And as we scroll down these 300 SVH, then that's where the move in the scroll interaction actually happens. All right, so we have the container, first of all, that is sticky. There you go. Sticky with a position of 6.25 SVH. That can be whatever is applicable to your project, right? This is based on our spacing system here, but you can set in pixels as well, and RAM, whatever works for your particular system. So this is sticky, and the BG wrapper with the image, that's also sticky. But it's set to 0% because it's supposed to take up the image or as much of the viewport as actually possible, minus potential padding, but we'll look at it in more detail. So we have the Renaissance container. It's in the background, so it should have a lower Z index, so no Z index. And then in the wrapper, I set it to auto, but because it comes after the container, it's on top of it. Like the last element is always on top if they have the same Z indexes. But that's important to keep in mind. And then here we have an H2, H4. This paragraph, they don't move, right? So we saw they're static. Now we go to the paintings. The paintings is set into a wrapper with relative position, and the paintings set to different. This one is static. This one is absolute. So we just set the paintings according to the position, to the layout that we want them to be. And the same thing for the text here. We have a span or an image here. That's the big T wrapper. Big T wrapper, that sounds like a burger. It's static, so we don't need to reposition it because it's inside the big T wrapper, which is static wrapper following the other elements here. So as you can see, pretty basic setup for the background with the text. Now let's look at the image. This is where it gets more interesting. So I'll set it to display static. As you can see, these are two images, actually. Right? We have the left image and we have the right image. Oh, yeah. Okay, so background 2 and background 1. Okay, so if I hide background 1, for example, then we only get to see the other one, which just gets pushed inside the container. But basically what you have to do then is to prepare two images that are cut off, or two images that, you know, fit into each other. And I did that on the Illustrator, just, you know, separated them with a curve and exported them as an image, as a PNG. Okay, you can also use WebP. Actually, do we have WebP here? Yeah, WebP is currently the best format, in my opinion. Okay, so the wrapper with the two images is sticky and relative, all right, to center them. And it takes up the full width. The BG wrapper takes up the full width. And the Renaissance images, they have a maximum, or they have a set height of 75%, 75 SVH. I didn't want them to take up the entire height. And that's it. That's basically all you need for the setup. And then let's take a look at the interaction now. So the interaction is applied to this section, which has the tall height. Okay, but you could also add in a wrapper here, but I think that was not necessary here in this case. So we go to interactions, and then we can click here while scrolling in view. Scroll into view is when the element first shows, but scrolling in view is as you progress down a section or an element, you know. So this is what we want. We want to progress down progressively following a specific element. So we have the interaction set up here, but we can redo it again. So there you go. As you can see, it's basically move and scale of the individual elements, starting at 5% and moving to 52%. So we'll recreate that and try to play around with the elements and see what we can do. Okay, so I'm gonna create a new one. So Renaissance scroll 2, just so we can play with it. So naturally, the obvious highlight here is the image, right? So as we get to this sticky, there you go. That's the first time that it sticks, or that's the earliest when it sticks. We have to start playing around at this point, and we can start at 0. But you know, just to give it a little tiny offset, I prefer to do it at 5%. So let's play with the images first, because that's overlaying the text. Okay, so the first thing you do is to target each of the images separately. Okay, so you gotta give them combo classes to separate them, or unique classes to have an identifier. So the left image is moving from the center to the left. Oh yeah, by the way, it should be overflow none somewhere, so it doesn't overflow and leads to a strange error. So what we do here, I'm gonna choose the left one first. It's gonna move right from 0 to 100, but we said 5% just to give it a little offset, and the target was 52%. Don't ask me how I arrived at these parameters. It works. It was like trial and error in this case, I believe. But you can be more specific about that, and you can calculate, you know, what's the exact height, and, you know, like down to the bottom, down to the individual numbers. But this was not necessary here, but I've done it in other projects where that was necessary. But just keep a little loose in this case. So we needed to move from 0 to the left, or I think it was moving to the left, right? And down to the left, or I'm not sure if it was left and down, but anyhow, it starts at 0. We should use here or what we can use, we can always go with the RAM if that's what you like. I like to work more fluidly, so I generally go with VW in this case, or we can also go with percent. Percent could be better actually. Yeah, okay, let's go with percent for now. So 0% on the x-axis and 0% on the y-axis. So that's the starting point, and then we go to the move. Let's say, I don't know, minus 20% to the left. Actually, maybe more, so minus 30. What happens if I do minus 40%? Okay, that's all we get here. So let's do the maximum. So say 50%, there you go. Yeah, that's okay, I think. That opens up sufficiently for our usage here. We can duplicate the same, but then go to the right with the right image. Hold on, so what's wrong here? Oh yeah, 0%, just have to set that to 0 again. Right image, same view, so move and move. There you go. So to the right, we said 50%, right? Yeah, 50%. 0% on Y. Actually, I don't even need Y. And no, actually, that's the target. That has to be 0. There you go. And here we can remove the Y-axis. Go and voila. Okay, that should be it. You can add some easing. I like to do things really like linearly when it comes to scroll interaction, so it stays even and consistent. We can also do ease, but let's see how it looks. Okay, so go down, stick, blah, 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 and then it moves on. Okay, yeah. That works, I guess. Okay, so next step, I'm gonna hide the image for now. So go to the BG wrapper, hide it for now, and then let's take a look at the text. So we're gonna move the paintings, and we're gonna move these two text elements here. So I'm gonna go back to the interaction. There you go. And yep, let's time it in parallel. Okay, so it stays consistent. So I'm gonna move the text painting has the class is 1. Move. Let's say we want to move it from the left to the right. So it starts at minus 10%, 10%. The problem with percentages is that they refer always to the parentive, So it's the percent of the parentive, and if the parentive is not as wide as a viewport, then percentages become very slightly incremental, So sometimes it's better to work with, I like to work with VH, That's too much, as you can see. So let's say, that's also too much. Let's say minus 10 VH. And in terms of Y-axis, I'm also going to push it down a little bit. So I'm going to say 10 SVH maybe. Yeah, and then we go to the pixel, 0 VH, and 0 SVH. And then we can see how it looks like. There you go. And there. Yeah, that works, I guess. But I think the text area stick, I'm gonna set it to a higher keyframe, make it a little smoother. It was too fast right now, so. Oh, I set the image. Okay, hold on. Little boo boo. Where is it? What's going on here? Say 65, right? What did I do? 48? No, it's okay. It's 48. All right. My bad. Okay, and then the second painting, or the third painting. No, let's do the second first. Keep it nice and tidy. So it goes from the top. Let's say we push it upwards a little bit. Let's say 10 SVH. There you go. And I'm going to go again with the 65%. And I'm going to set it to 0 SVH. And the third image that comes, let's say that comes from the bottom right. Okay, so same thing. We move it to, hold on. So we move it to the bottom. So let's say 10 SVH again, and to the right, which will be 10 VW. There you go. And then we set the values to 0 on the x-axis and 0 on the y-axis. There you go. That should be it for the images themselves. Hold on. Oh, there you go. Yeah, okay. That's nice. All right. Fantastic. There was also a scale animation, but we can just leave it for now. And the T wrapper, it was coming from the top right, I believe. So the same here with the T wrapper. Let's do 15 pH to the right and minus 5 to the top. 5 SVH to the top. Yeah, I think that works, but let's say 10 pH. Yeah, that was too much. And then we can set it to move to 0 VH and 0 SVH. That should be it, pretty much. So there you go. And then, great, cool. And then we can set the Renaissance back to display, and there you go. And if we preview the animation now, sticky, reveal, voila, and there you go. That's it. That's pretty much all you have to do. All right, so let's summarize. Prepare the images as 2 images or however fragments you want. Apply animation to individual IDs. Set triggers, correct triggers, give them individual classes or combo classes for differentiation. And yeah, in this case, there was only move as the animation, but we can work with everything and make this more even better, like with opacity, I believe, and scaling, etc., etc. But then that becomes your playground. Okay, I just wanted to show you how to do it in general. And yep, there you go. So as you can see, easy peasy. And yep, so if you found this helpful, give it a like, hit the subscribe button. That will mean the world to me. And yep, aesthetics rock. This is Felipe from As Your Creative Alchemist. And I'll see you next time. Cheers.